So I have been wandering around this area for the last couple hours trying to find some sense of foreground to put in front of this mountain in the background here. And there's just so much going on, and just trying to find kind of a clean subject. There's a lot of cool foreground elements to place in a photograph, but just trying to find one that's kind of separated from other things and it looks a little bit clean and a little bit organized. That seems to be the challenge right now. So after much searching, I think I finally landed on a composition. I've gone through about maybe 4 or 5 different compositions. Each one gets a little bit better and a little bit better and a little closer to what I was kind of trying to do here. And I think the one that I have now is definitely the best of the evening so far, or the afternoon. I'm just kind of waiting for the light to get, or the sun to go down a little bit lower. There's still some harsh shadows, although there's some storm clouds starting to blow in here, and that could totally ruin the entire evening. But I just checked the radar and it looks like it might be blowing by a little bit south of where I'm at right now, so only time will tell at this point. So here's the composition I have right now. I'm using my 16 to 35, and I'm at 16 millimeters to try and exaggerate the size of this this cactus right here, just by using the natural distortion of a wide angle lens. And then I'm using this pathway right here to kind of lead the viewer up to the mountains in the background. And I wanted to try and clean up a lot of this messy area right through here in the midground. It just looks a little bit chaotic and serves as a distraction. And I found that if I get a little bit lower to the cactus, one, it kind of eliminates that area in the midground, and then it also is going to exaggerate the size of that cactus at the same time. So at least that is what I'm thinking right now. So I guess good news and bad news. The good news is there's some really dark, ominous clouds over the mountains right now, and the bad news is that there's really no light at this moment. It is starting to rain a little bit, but I do love those really dark and dramatic skies, and it makes a really good, moody image. I did try a couple long exposures. It really didn't work. There's not quite enough, well, there's a little bit of texture in the sky above there now, but earlier when I tried it, there just wasn't enough there. And I did like a 25-second exposure, and it just kind of blurred out the entire sky, and it just looked like a big blob of gray. There was really no texture there, so that didn't really work. So now I'm just taking I think a series of maybe 6 images for focus stacking them. I'm at f16, 1/4 of a second, ISO 100, and I think I'm taking 5 images, which is probably one more than I need for this focus stack, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. I hate when I get back home and I notice that there's an area in my foreground or midground is soft, and I only took 3 focus stacked images, so I think I'm taking 4 or 5 right now just to be safe. You know, there might not be any light right now, but I am absolutely loving these clouds that are over the mountain right now. These just super dark. I don't know if it's showing up on video right now, but they just get better and better and better. Every exposure I take, the clouds just get a little bit more darker and a little bit more moody and more dramatic. And I just absolutely love the way that this is unfolding right now. If the rain can just hold off just a little bit longer, tonight's going to be an absolute win. And here comes the rain now. Hopefully it doesn't rain too hard. I can definitely see it coming down a little bit harder on that side. Just a little bit of a drizzle right now, but I'm gonna probably have to put the video camera away for right now, and hopefully it'll pass and won't last too long. It's still about 45 minutes before sunset, although not sure how much light we're gonna actually get. But at this point, I can't leave before sunset without knowing. It'll drive me crazy. So the rain, it didn't last very long, maybe 20 minutes, and then the clouds completely cleared out above the mountain. Now we're left with just kind of, it looks like high clouds, just very small clouds, thin clouds. The sun is setting in about 25 minutes, so, and there's not a whole lot of kind of a break on the horizon out there to let any kind of light from the setting sun come in. So I'm not 100% sure how much light we're going to get on the actual mountain there or on these clouds, but we're not too far away. Only time will tell at this point. Well, what I was afraid was going to happen did happen. As you can see behind me, there's no way the light's going to be able to get through those clouds on the horizon there, so we're not going to get any direct light on the actual mountain itself, which is okay. It would have been nice to be able to get that image and get an image with the nice dramatic storm clouds, but I'm pretty excited about those. That was a really ominous looking image, and I'm hoping that's going to come out pretty good. But I am going to be in the area for one more day, so I'm going to come back here again tomorrow, late afternoon, scout out a different composition. Hopefully this time we'll get a bit of light on the actual mountain. So I'm going to pack things up, head back to the hotel, and get something to eat. So it is the next afternoon. Very similar weather conditions as it was yesterday, mostly cloudy. Once again, pretty dark, ominous clouds over the mountain, which is fantastic. Not a lot of light. Starting to rain once again, which it's okay. But the weather prediction around sunset is for there to be favorable weather conditions. With they're predicting a fair amount of high clouds, which would be conducive for a lot of color in the sky, which would be great. I'm just kind of wandering around, searching for some different kind of foreground elements right now. I don't really want to use the same kind of cactus as I did yesterday, so I'm looking for an interesting stone or sticks or just anything. There's a lot to use around here for foreground, so I'm just trying to find something a little bit more unique from what I used last night, something that kind of really anchor the image and kind of draw the viewer into the photograph. So I've finally locked on to what I want to use for a foreground, and it's these perfectly symmetrical cacti. I think it'd be great to get up close to kind of anchor the overall composition, to kind of frame the mountains in the background. Something else I forgot to mention yesterday in regards to wide-angle lens distortion is, not only can you shoot really wide, I'm at 16 millimeters now, and get really close to something in the foreground just to exaggerate its size, but you can also do something with the mountains in the background. So if I angle this straight on, you'll notice that the mountains, they look kind of small, they look miniaturized, they don't really look all that impressive. But if I just angle my lens down just a little bit, you'll notice that those mountains really grow in size. Now, in this point of view, they look substantially taller, they look a lot more impressive. And if I kind of just bounce this back and forth, you can really see how you can use some of that wide-angle lens distortion to your advantage, just to increase the overall size of those mountains. So as you can probably tell behind me, there are not a lot of clouds in the sky right now. It's about a little more than an hour before sunset. All the clouds that were around a little while ago have now completely dissipated. There are a few kind of lingering clouds around that I'm hopeful will blow in and kind of get near the top of the mountain, just that way when the sun sets, a little bit of that light will catch those clouds. A little bit of color would be perfect, just anything other than just a bland blue sky. But the good news is that we should most definitely get some light on the mountain peaks behind me this time. That was the exact opposite issue that we had yesterday. We had almost too many clouds and really no light at all. Today we have too much light and no clouds at all. So if we could just merge the conditions today and last night together, we would probably have the best possible landscape photography conditions, but it's not always the case. So I'm hopeful that we have a little bit of time. Hopefully some of these clouds will blow in. We'll get a little bit of atmosphere up there. So here's the final composition I have settled on. I'm getting really close to this perfectly circular cactus in the foreground here. I'm at 16 millimeters, and the cactus is perfectly nestled in this nice little pile of rocks here that kind of leads the viewer's eye up into the midground of the frame. And then there's this like kind of ridge line over here to the side that also leads the viewer's eye up into the mountain range as well. So I really like the composition. You can see a little bit more of the uniqueness of the mountains from this vantage point, which is a little different than the one yesterday, but as long as we can get some kind of clouds up there, we should be in good shape. So all of my cloud hopes rest on that cloud right there. It doesn't look like much, but it's a pretty significant grouping of clouds. It is moving in the general direction of the mountains. I just don't know if it can get there in the next, I guess like 45 minutes. Plus, if it does, I have a feeling it might go behind the mountains and you won't be able to see it at all anyway. But we're getting pretty close. I've got my fingers crossed that it's all going to work out. So it's about maybe 12 minutes before the sun sets. Unfortunately, those clouds over there are not going to have enough time to get on top of the mountain, which is too bad. But it is what it is. I've got a polarizer on right now. I'll probably take it off, honestly. I don't think I really need it right now. And I have the same settings as I did yesterday. I'm at f16, ISO 100, a quarter of a second, and I'm shooting a focus stack series, because whenever you have anything this close to your camera in the foreground, there's really no way to get everything in focus from front to back, no matter what you stop the camera down to. So you really have to focus stack it. So I'm actually taking a series of 3 images just for the cactus here, just moving my focus point. So I've got like one right here, focus point here, focus point there, and then 3 or 4 more images, just moving that focus point all the way up until I get to the mountains in the background. Probably be left with maybe 6 or 7 images that I'll blend together in post, and just that way everything is in focus, from the cactus to the rocks to the cactus in the midground, and of course the mountains in the background. So this is probably the best light we're going to get right now. The sun is very low on the horizon. It is definitely lighting up the mountains in the background. It's lightening up this cactus a little bit as well. I'm just going to go ahead and start taking these images. I left the polarizer on. I'm just trying to be careful to not over polarize it, because I'm shooting at 16 millimeters, and a lot of times polarizers will tend to darken down the corners of a wide angle shot, and I definitely don't want that. So I'm trying to be very careful to not add too much polarization to this shot, but it's definitely bringing out a lot of the red in the mountains and these rocks in the foreground, and any kind of green in the cactus or anything like that. So I am going to stick with that for right now. But I actually like this composition better than the composition last night, but I like the conditions last night much better than I like the conditions for today. So it is what it is. It's a little bit of give and take, I suppose, but nevertheless, it's a good day to be out here. Man, what a bummer. That's the cloud bank that I was hoping was going to have enough time to move over on top of here, but it didn't. And look at all the color that it's catching right now. Oh, if sunset would have been in about another hour from now, that probably would have had enough time to get over there. So I think that's a wrap. The light, it sure did not last long at all, maybe about 10 minutes. And I don't think the image is fantastic. I think it's decent. Honestly, the best part of today was just being out here. It's been an absolutely fantastic afternoon. And I hope you enjoyed this week's video. I hope you were able to pick up some information pertaining to really how you can use the natural distortion of a wide angle lens to your advantage, and how you can apply that to your landscape photography workflow moving forward. And as always, I really do appreciate you watching this week's video. If you did enjoy it, if you could give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And I will see you all next week. Bye.